Hello, and welcome to today's Focus on the Test mini lesson. Welcome to all of our subscribers, and thank you very much for joining us. Also to our students, continue the excellent progress that you're making, and remember that your labor is not in vain. It will pay off in the end. If you're an adult seeking to earn your high school credential, be sure to check out our website at www.yourpathforadultlearners.com, where you can learn more about our online GED and Hiset program. So now on to our lesson for the day.
Hello everyone, I hope everyone is doing fantastic. This presentation is actually going to be a review of the rules for when you are completing problems involving integers, okay? So let's discuss some of the rules because in most of my math instruction, I normally talk about the importance of knowing the rules. You must make sure that you are comfortable with the rules, first of all, that you know them, and then that you are comfortable with applying them. So I actually want to go over the rules with you and make sure that for my students' sake, that they definitely understand the rules and how to apply them when they are solving problems involving integers. Enroll in Your Path today and get access to what our students get access to daily. Get access to online personalized GED, Hiset, and TABE courses, 24 hours, 7 days a week, individualized instructional guidance and a progress plan, study workbooks, learning materials and tools to reinforce your learning, tutoring, cap and gown, diploma cover, certificate of completion, test fees reimbursement, professional career academic coaching from IFC certified coaches, and next step services. Enroll today. Your Path wants to take a moment to congratulate its 2022 graduates. Congratulations, graduates, a job very well done. We are looking forward to more graduates. You still have time. 2022 is not over yet. We have a few mid-year announcements. Congratulations to Mr. Anton on earning perfect Hiset scores in social studies and science. Also, congratulations on passing your RLA exam near the college readiness level. You're very close to earning your high school credential, so keep up the excellent work. Welcome to our new board members, Dr. Jones, Vice Chairman, Dr. Moten, Secretary, Dr. Berkeley, Committee Member, and Dr. Haley, Committee Member. Welcome to the team. Welcome back to all of our students. We hope that you have enjoyed your summer break. It is now time for us to get back to business. So let's all get ready for testing. Your Path is wishing our students and everyone born in the month of September a happy birthday, and may you have many more to come. Your Path is hosting the 2023 National Graduates 5K Walkathon event to celebrate academic achievement across the nation as we promote adult literacy and basic education to bridge the achievement gap between non-high school completers and graduates. Wear your doctorate, master's, bachelor's, and high school cap and gowns and come and walk with us to support a worthy cause. This event will take place at the Washington Monument Ground on Saturday, May 6, 2023. Between the hours of 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. To register, visit our website at www.yourpathforadultlearners.com. We hope to see you there, and thank you for your participation and support. Okay, so let's talk about when we're adding problems with integers. So here are the rules. When you have two positive numbers or integers that you are adding, such as 5 plus 3, you're going to get a positive outcome. That's going to be a positive number, 8, a positive integer, okay? Now, when we look at the number line here, and I'm going to go to the number line because I actually want to give you an illustration of what that looks like. All right, so we have 3. If we have 3 already and we add 5, so we're on the positive side of the number scale. These are your negative integers. And on the right side of the 0, you will find your positive integers, okay? So the 0 here defines your positive side of the number scale or the integer scale and the negative side of the integer scale. Okay, so here we have our positive numbers, and that's on the right side. And then we have our negatives. Okay, and these are your negative integers. Okay, now we have 3, and then if we move 5 more places, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you get a positive 8. Okay, so now let's go back to the rules. Again, if you have 2 positives, you'll get a positive. If you have 2 negatives, you're going to get a negative. This example here is a -5 plus a -3 will give you a -8. So now let's go back to the number scale or the integer scale. And here we have a -3. And if we move 5 places to the left, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we'll get a -8. Okay? So that's what is meant when we say a -5 plus a -3 will give you a -8. Okay? Now, when you have a positive integer and you're adding it to a negative or a negative to a positive, such as in this case, we have a -5 plus 3, a positive 3 will give us a -2. Use the larger number and its sign, subtract, okay? So in other words, you're going to take the sign of the larger number, okay? In this case, 5 is the larger integer, okay? It's the larger number, rather. So we're going to take the sign of 5. 5 is a larger number, but it's not a greater number than 3 because positive numbers are greater than your negative numbers, okay? But in this case, you're going to take the sign of the larger number. In this case, it's 5. So if you have a positive and a negative, you're going to take the sign again of the larger number. So here we have a 3 plus a -5. It doesn't matter which order they're in. You're still going to get a -2 because you're going to take the sign of the larger number. That's the easiest way to do it, okay? Here we have a -3 plus 5. 5 again is the larger number, so you're going to get a 2, okay, a positive 2. Here we have 5 plus a -3 equals 2. Again, you get a positive 2 because 5 is the larger number, okay? So now let's look at this on the number scale. So if we look at this on the number scale, we're going to look at a -5 plus 3, and we're going to get a -2. So let's go to the number scale to see how that actually looks on the number scale. So we have a -5 and a positive 3, all right? So if you have a -5, if this is where you start on the number scale, and this is where we're actually starting on the number scale, we're moving 3 places to the right because we have a positive 3. So that means that we're going to move 1, 2, 3 to the right. That will still give us a negative number, which in this case is a -2. All right? But we still moved 3 places to the right because we had a positive 3, and a positive 3 is moving toward the right position on the number scale. Okay? Remember, going to the left are your negative numbers or your negative integers. Going to the right, you're going toward your positive numbers or your positive integers. And that's how you will actually end up with a -2. So it's just easier to remember it by actually applying the sign of the larger number, okay? It's just an easier way to do it. That way you don't necessarily have to go to the number scale to get your result, okay? So now let's go back to the chart. And here we have A positive 3 plus a negative 5 equals a negative 2. So now let's go to the number scale. We're going to get to a positive 3. So here we're at the positive 3, and we have a negative 5. So that means that we're going to move to the left of the number scale because we have a negative number, right? Negative 5. We're going to move 5 places to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that will still give us a negative 2, which is how you end up with a negative 2 as your outcome right here. All right? But instead of going to the number line, it's easier just to remember taking the sign of the larger number. Okay? The same is true if we were to go to the number scale for a negative 3 plus 5, it will equal 2. But rather than going to the number scale, all you have to do is remember that you want to take the sign of the larger number, which is 5 in this case. Okay? 5 plus a negative 3 equals 2. Rather than going to the number scale, all you have to do is remember, take the sign of the larger number, which is 5. Okay? Now, let's talk about subtraction. When you subtract a negative minus a positive, you're going to get a negative. A negative minus a positive equals a negative. So here we have a negative minus a positive equals a negative. Now, in this case, what you're going to do is you're going to actually change the sign to a positive, and this becomes a negative, okay? So you're going to change the sign, which is the subtraction sign, to a positive, then change the second number. Okay, so if there's a positive, you're going to change it to a negative. So you have to change the sign of the second number as well. You can't just change the sign and that's it. You also have to change the sign of the second number. Okay, so in this case, this will become a negative 3. And whenever you're adding two negatives, you go back to the rule here and you'll get a negative. So two negatives will give you a negative. Okay, so all you have to do is apply the addition rule for two negatives and you'll get a negative. So now let's look at when you subtract a positive and a negative, you get a positive. So here you have a positive, you're subtracting a negative. You're going to change the subtraction sign, but you also must change the sign of the second number. Okay, so since this is a negative, it now becomes a positive. So in this case, you now end up with two positives. Now, to make it simple for you, we never subtract integers. With that being said, you actually have to change the subtraction sign always to a positive. But in doing that, you must also change the second number, or you must also change the sign of the second number. So that means that if the number was a positive, it then must become a negative. If it was a negative, it must then become a positive. Okay? So keep that in mind. Two things that you must do. You must first change the sign, change the subtraction sign to a positive, and then secondly, change the sign of the second number. Okay? Again, that means that if it's negative, it would then become a positive. And if it is positive, it would then become a negative. Okay, so keep that in mind. So now going back to 5 minus a negative 3, when you change the subtraction sign to a positive, this negative 3 also becomes a positive 3, and you end up with a positive number. Okay, so then this rule, once you change it to an addition sign, it goes back to the addition rule, right? And then you apply the addition rule. So now let's talk about when we have a negative and we subtract a negative, we get a negative plus a positive, okay? So let's look at that. Here we have a negative 5, subtract the negative 3. Remember, we're going to change the sign to a positive, and this 3 will also become a positive. So now you have a negative 5 and a positive 3 that you're actually adding. You're going to take the sign of the larger number, and that's going to give you a negative 2. Okay? Going back to your addition rule. All right? The last example here, we have a -3 minus a -5. When we change the sign here, the subtraction sign to an addition, we also change the sign of this -5, okay? So then we have a -3 plus 5. We take the sign of the larger number, which is 5 in this case, and we'll get a 2, all right? Okay, now let's talk about multiplication. These rules are a little different, okay? Here we have a positive times a positive will always give you a positive. That's simple. That's all you have to remember. If you have two positives, you get a positive outcome. If you have two negatives, you also get a positive outcome, okay? Two negatives will give you a positive. Two positives will also give you a positive. Now, the difference here is when you have a negative times a positive or a positive times a negative, all we're doing is flipping it. You're always going to get a negative outcome. So your results will always be negative, okay? Now, that's pretty simple, okay? That's all you have to remember there. Now, for division, it's similar to multiplication. Whenever you have two positives, you'll get a positive. Whenever you divide two negatives, you'll get a positive as well. So 15 divided by 3, two positives will give you a positive outcome. A negative divided by a negative, in this case, a -15 divided by a -3 will give you a positive 5, okay? Whenever you have a negative divided by a positive or a positive divided by a negative, you're always going to get a negative outcome, okay? The same rules as multiplication. So once you learn the rules for multiplication, you have also learned the rules for division, okay? Because the same is true. So these are the rules for when you are solving integers, okay? Whether you're adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing. It is very, very important that you memorize the rules because if you do not, you're going to have trouble with solving integers, okay? So you want to make sure that you get the foundation on how to solve integers by remembering the rules. That's very important. Now, I do have this sample over here too. It's pretty much the same thing that I explained to you. So you can read this chart here. And as you're reading this chart, you can actually go through this chart as well and look at the samples here to get a better understanding of how to actually apply the rules. Okay? I hope that this lesson has helped you. I'm sure that it will help my students as they are required to complete assignments on integers. Okay, so I want to make sure that you are comfortable with the rules because you must know the rules in order to be successful in solving integers. Have a blessed day, everyone. Bye-bye.
So good luck testing. Thank you very much for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and hit the notification button down below so that you're notified on our new releases. Also, join us on our other social media platforms such as Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.